Big thanks to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The SBDC is an incredible resource for small business owners, offering free one-on-one counseling, business plan support, market research, financial projections, and much more. Whether you're just starting out or looking to grow, they're here to help your business succeed. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org.
It's the Cowboy Code of Ethics. It's doing what you say you're going to do. And I think those are true for business, and I've made it that for myself and how I lead other people and how I coach. I use those as the baseline for it.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast
where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Joining us today on The Vault is Ryan Gregory with Resilient Guides. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on The Vault. We just saw you last week, so that was fun and got to experience some things which we'll talk about later. But we like to start each episode just with a little bit about you, like where you grew up, what was that like, what created, what helped shaped you to who you are today.
Sure. I'm not one of those people that like to talk about themselves very much and try to avoid a lot of I's. So
but I know it's different. Yeah. It's all about you today.
Yeah, that's strange. So I was born in Arcata, California in Humboldt County. My parents were kind of hippies, and my dad was a civil engineer with the U.S. Forest Service. So we traveled to a lot of forests, and his job was to provide roads and bridges for select cutting.
What does that mean?
So they select trees out of the
forest. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
He was part of that initiative when that started. And so we lived in Arcata, Eureka, Fresno, Mount Shasta, and then we moved to Fresno for high school and college. And then it was a great childhood. I have loving parents, and they brought my sister and I up very well, I think. And then after I decided college wasn't for me, I wanted to be a cowboy. And my cousin's husband was a cowboy, and he said, "Come on up." So.
Oh, here to come to Montana?
It was in Monterey County, California.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So just like come up a little bit, not like all the way up.
Yeah, 8 hours.
Yeah.
So he taught me how to be a cowboy. And then I did that in California for a while. And
so tell us more about that. Was it like he had what was he, ranch guy?
Yeah. So he did day work. So we would hire on different ranches, and I didn't get paid for a long time.
Free labor.
So we had a fencing business that we did on the side when we weren't cowboying. And so I finally was able to prove myself, and they let me into the rope and corral and went from there. And then worked for a few ranches. And then I just had this desire to come to Wyoming or Montana. And I knew that my wife was there. And so when my father had a friend that knew a rancher in Laramie, Wyoming. And that's where I started my adventure in the Rocky Mountains, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And that was over 30 years ago. So
now when you had this, I want to be a cowboy, did you have that when you were a kid and it just resurfaced, or did just one day you're like, this seems like a right fit for me?
I went to my cousin's wedding and hung out with all the cowboys, and it just resonated with me. I liked how they thought. I didn't like the city, so I wanted to live where it was more simple.
So diving into that, what was it about? I mean, there's other places too, right? Like not just Montana and Wyoming that have big ranches and have that way of life. But what was it for you that was drawing about Montana and Wyoming? The old Western movies, or what was it?
I just felt like it was where the traditional cowboys were.
Mm-hmm.
And worked on
We'd
traditional
agree, yeah.
ranches in California, and some of the best vaqueros, cowboys I've ever seen are in California. And I just knew that there was more of us somewhere else, and it was beautiful in Wyoming and Montana. So we took a road trip, and then I met a guy, and I was in Butte, Montana, and the guy was an outfitter from Alberta. So I went to Alberta for 7 months into the bush, into the wilderness to chase wild horses.
Oh, wow.
And then ended up in Laramie. Long story short.
And is that where you
Laramie.
met your wife?
I did.
Oh, wow.
So you did know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were calving out 2,000 head of heifers, and
Oh, that's a lot of heifers
Yeah.
to calve out.
yeah, and they started in January 1st, and it was miserable winter.
Cold
And they said, "Oh, you got to
windy.
meet this gal." And I said, "No, thanks, I'm good." But
I'm
I met
busy.
her. I met her and fell in love, and that's 28 years ago.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
So was
Still
it
the
like
love
a
of my
blind
life.
date? Like, I want the details. Like, was it at a bar? What happened? If you're willing to share.
Sure. So, yeah, they said the same thing to her, and she said, "No, thank you. I don't need another cowboy. I've lived with them for my whole life."
Oh, so she comes from a ranching background.
She's fifth generation Wyoming.
Oh,
and,
awesome.
Yeah. So, yes. So our friends introduced us at a party, and I asked her if she wanted to go bowling, and the winner had to cook supper. She
Oh.
lost.
Oh, so she had to cook for you.
Yeah.
So there was
That's the
definitely
way
a
to a
secure
heart, though.
second date in the future is what that was, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
then she talked me into going up in this old barn, and I asked her if I could kiss her, and she had never had anybody ask, and so she did, and I knew right then.
Oh,
that's really sweet. And she's, grew up in the Laramie area.
Yeah, she's a Plains girl.
That's fun. So tell us a little bit, you talked about it, but what about, like, you talk about the cowboy way of life. Like, what are those characteristics and those things for you that, like, just drew you in and has kept you for 30 plus years?
Yeah, it's doing what you say you're going to do, and it's the Cowboy Code of Ethics, and I think those are true for business, and I've made it that for myself and how I lead other people and how I coach. I use those as the baseline for it, and Pinnacle Business Guides is just the tools that I use alongside that. So
when you say Cowboy Code of Ethics, for those listening, what is that?
well, there's 10 of them. Would you like me to read them to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Okay.
And did you put you put it together, right? For you? Like, what is
No,
it?
this is a long-standing.
Okay.
You look it up. It's going to be there. It's on my website too. So the first one is live each day with courage. Take pride in your work. Always finish what you start. Do what has to be done. Be tough but fair. When you make a promise, keep it. Ride for the brand. Talk less and say more. Remember that some things aren't for sale. And know where to draw the line.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone starts living by a Cowboy Code of
I know.
Ethics.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Most people I surround myself with do.
So here you are in entrepreneurship. So what led you to entrepreneurship from cowboy?
So I don't like the I thing, right? So
I know it's awkward.
So my wife and I, we ranched till our first baby was born. He's now 24 years old. And we moved to Sheridan, Wyoming. And I didn't like the ranch. I got offered a cow boss job on a ranch, and I didn't like their non-traditional ways. And I was going into a pawn shop to pawn something for money, and the pawnbroker said, "Those guys right across the street are hiring for carpentry." And so I hired on as a carpenter for a laborer, and I worked hard, and I showed up early, and they put me through college to get a certificate, basically, for a journeyman carpenter. And then I got a hernia, and I had another baby on the way, and I needed to work. And they had an estimator quit at that time, And I asked if I could, what it would take to do that job. And he says, well, you got to run a computer, you got to run Excel, AutoCAD. And I didn't even know how to open a phone. We opened phones then.
What fun days those were, T9.
Yeah. And so I had nothing else to do because I was at home. And I learned how to run Excel and had some friends help me with AutoCAD, and I got the job.
Wow.
And then I worked there for 3 years, and then oil and gas was happening. And I took a job as a construction supervisor, and then they wanted to be a public company, so they trusted me to be the procurement officer.
Oh, wow.
And then they wanted to become public. So I was fortunate to be part of the leadership team that went to NASDAQ and rang the opening bell. So that was pretty spectacular.
Oh, what an experience.
So you're kind of humble about that, but like, what were some of those details and things that you learned, that like some of those big lessons learned while you were doing some of those jobs?
Well, oil and gas is it's a rough industry. It didn't feel good to me to be in that industry, but it provided really well for the family. And while I was in that role, previously in the construction job, there was a roofer that kept asking me to come run his company. And I said, you can't pay me enough. And then he offered me enough, and I left and went to work for him. And he walked in one day after about a year and said, I'm going to close the doors or you can buy it. So, and he was going to finance it. So we bought it. And next year we had a hailstorm, made a ton of money, didn't know what to do with it. So we started giving it away. My wife had a blue sky project. Now I'm going to get all verklempt maybe, because she built an amazing nonprofit, and it's still active today. It's called Rooted in Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
And it's a nonprofit that puts school gardening into the curriculum, and she's built.
I love that.
She's built amazing gardens with a lot of great volunteers, and that's been going now for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
That's it's such a skill to teach, though. You know,
like with your hands and like just getting kids to learn, like, where does your food come from? How do you grow it? And teaching some of those like life skills.
And that's the intent.
And getting them outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it impacts thousands of people.
Yeah.
So kids are taking it home, and they got to the point where they were producing it, planting it, producing it, harvesting it, and then selling it at a fundraiser, and providing the food with the ingredients. So it was really amazing, or it is amazing. So
is she still active in it today?
No, she's not. She's still the founder, and she does. We have one garden that is just our heartstring garden. It's a VA garden, and we try to spend as much time as we can there.
Yeah.
She's a serial philanthropist, so that's what it was, and it was a vehicle for that. Mm-hmm. It became our mission to make a lot of money, to give it away, and we did.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So and then what? Like you're working in that, and you're ringing the bell at the NASDAQ. Like,
yeah. So then we bought the company, and I quit that job, and it was right before the big crash of oil and gas.
Ooh, perfect timing.
Yeah, I had timed things well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Hindsight.
Yeah. So then we sold it.
Oh, okay. So then you sold the roofing company.
Yeah.
How long were you operating it before you sold it?
Well, I'll tell you, it was 10 years almost to the date. And it is it was done intentionally, and with I have a wonderful leadership team, and we discussed it, and it was time. So it comes back to my purpose. And if you want to hear my why story of who I am and why I am, I'll tell it to you.
Well, we definitely want to get into that. Yeah, absolutely.
And then we want to get into the succession too, because I think that's interesting to know, like, for those listening to know, like, one is, how did you know it was time and all of that? But let's hear the why
how
first.
Early on did you start planning that? And
which we'll get into
after the why. That's kind of why I wanted to tell you the story, because it kind of tells you why.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine a bluebird morning on the mountain, and the snow is covering the pine trees, and it's really quiet, silent. And my ski patrol team and I are practicing a difficult rescue scenario when my ski binding broke and sent me head over heels down the steepest part of the mountain. The next thing, I was in Billings Trauma Center, and my blood pressure was 200 over 130. I had lost sight in one eye, and I had completed 3 strokes, and I was working on a 4th.
Wow.
And being a first responder, a volunteer first responder with ski patrol, I knew what the alarms meant. I saw the urgency on the medical professionals' faces and knew it wasn't good. And I'm pretty sure it was against protocol, but a nurse allowed me to call my wife. And I said, babe, I don't think I'm going to make it. Here's the passwords and codes that you need. And I love you and the boys. It took 18 months to recover from that.
Oh my gosh.
And thankfully it didn't, it turned as you can imagine, it turned my family's world upside down. But what it didn't turn upside down is my business. Going back 10 years, I bootstrapped a business with almost 50 employees. We grew faster than I could imagine or control. And I was spending my time putting out fires. And there was a lot of employee turnover. The culture was disrupted, and it was just chaos. It took away all the resources and time. It was ruining my relationships with my family, and it just drained me. The chaos, it was just unrelenting, right? And so I had a friend call me and tell me, hey man, when you want to start controlling your business, I know a guy, his name's Rusty, he can help you. And at first I said, I'm too busy. I can't take on anything else.
Yeah.
And we were very profitable, so I'll just keep pushing. I feel like this is what entrepreneurs do. They just grind, and that's part of it. And I dragged my family and all the employees through that for another year until finally I realized that the system that I had was cyclical and it was not giving me the results I wanted. And so I called Rusty, and he became my mentor and our coach, like I am now. And he helped take the chaos into a well-oiled machine that, all of a sudden my leadership team started embracing accountability, and our culture started to build, and we started winning awards, and we were growing.
Wow.
And I was able to start working in my unique ability and doing things that I love to do. Yeah.
And for you, what were those things that you love to do that you were able to do because you had the leadership team and you had like the team in the right seats?
Well, the number one thing was to be present with my family. And then I wanted to be a volunteer ski patrol and coach those people. So I always had this coach's mindset, and I love to do that. So it allowed me to do those things, have more time with my family.
So you had this life-altering accident, and so then that when you were like, okay, I've refocused on what my why in life is, and now I'm going to start planning my succession out. So was that about the
almost that time? It took me into the recovery. So if fast forward, now I have relationships that are working well, my family's working well, and now I needed time. Fast forward to the accident, I needed time to heal. I needed to take that time off, and luckily the business had the continuity to take care of our employees, our customers, and our family. And so fast forward, we sold that company 4 years ago, and thank God I listened to God instead of my ego, and it was one of my biggest blessings in life. Was selling that so I can do what I do now, which is help mission-driven leaders achieve their dreams.
Yeah. What got you into that? I mean, just the coaching from being a, volunteer ski patrol, or, what really just drove you into that field of work? I
had friends and acquaintances that were asking me, I'd successfully sold the business and got a pretty high multiplier for it, more than what the industry average was. And they wanted help, and one of them said I should pay you for it. And then my coach told me I should look into this Pinnacle Business Guides thing. they're great guys. This is what he would do if he had to start over again, but he was stuck in the system that he was in. And I found a great community with incredibly smart people. They're great people.
And are those people, like when you say that, are they based where you are? Are they not, like for those that like and us that maybe aren't as familiar with that platform, that programming, tell us a little bit more.
Sure. There's 140 Pinnacle business guides. They're all over the world.
Wow.
And we come together 3 times a year. And
wow.
Only 140?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a big population for you guys to tackle.
Yeah.
And then you come together like in person 3 times a year?
Yeah.
Wow. In the United States or wherever?
It moves around. It's going to be in Nashville in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And
that's a fun location to have something.
Yeah, it is. And we learn new tools and learn from each other and just get better.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just give a quick rundown on what Pinnacle Business Guides is and how does it help?
Sure. So it's taking companies and putting a structured accountability. It's getting that clarity and structured accountability in place. So there's 4 principles to Pinnacle. There's 5 actually, but if you do 4 really well, you get the 5th one. So the first
it's like
one
a bonus.
is So if you work on your people first, that's the most important one. It's our biggest expense. So we should start there and focus there. And oftentimes we don't. We spend time on our strategy, and I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so we start there and start with your core values, mission, vision, values, build a strategy around that and get the team aligned on that. And then develop playbooks, proven processes, and, ingrain that. Once it's defined, you ingrain it into your team, and then you can optimize it. And then the last one is performance. So how do we measure metrics? How do we have meetings? That's a big part of it. And then how do you complete your big initiatives, your rocks? And if you do those 4 things really well, then you can have the profits that just come automatically. And so that's the principles of Pinnacle Business Guides.
So what about, and those are like big things, right? That seem like, okay, like if you just do these things, you're like golden. But what are the tangible things that organizations then take in and do to hold themselves accountable to the guide and to those 4 things?
Well, accountability, it's been a big topic here in the last 6 months because I had somebody ask me, can you just help me with my accountability? And I said, I'm not an accountability coach. If you need an accountability coach, we need a different mission. Mm-hmm. It's not scaring you enough. So you start with your big, hairy, audacious goal. If nothing was going to hold you back, what could you accomplish as an organization? And then you work backwards from that. Have some midterm goals, and then a year goal. And then from that year goal, and now we have an annual plan, a strategic plan, and then we execute that quarterly. And so that quarterly, we meet and we decide what are the most important initiatives for us to do to fulfill our annual goals. And we document them, and we frequently review them in weekly tactical meetings. And then they're ambitious and they're specific, and they're also transparent. So everybody in the organization sees what everybody's working on. And you have that accountability piece to that as far as the accountability. But you have to have, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, you have to have that in place to be able to do it really well.
And what are those for those listening? Do you know them off the top of your head? If not, it's
Well, the
cool.
first one is trust. You have to have trust within your leadership team. And once you have that trust, then you can have a healthy debate and conflict. And once you have conflict, now you can commit to when you make a decision, we can all agree and commit to that decision. And once we all agree and walk out of the room as one team, now you can have accountability and you can hold each other accountable. And when you can hold each other accountable, now you can focus as one team on one result instead of those siloed results.
Oh, I really like that.
And so you guys, you just use that for...
That's Patrick Lencioni.
Yeah, but you use that for the other work that you guys do.
We use a lot of tools. We have almost 100 tools.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And most of them are around leadership and people. And 5 dysfunctions of the team is always taught.
What do you think is one of the biggest struggle that you see with leaders when they come to you?
Lack of clarity throughout their organization.
So just like a confusion around the why.
Yeah. And honestly, they don't know who they are.
Individually or as the organization?
Yeah, individually. Like, they need to know who they are first, because that's the foundation of their values, their mission, their vision. Everything starts with them. And a lot of them just don't know. It's a hard thing to figure out.
But you guys help the leader do that.
Yeah.
Like, who are they? And then how does that play into the team and the organization?
Yeah, it's in that vision building day. So it takes 3 base camp days. Pinnacle is a climbing metaphor, and so they use a lot of climbing metaphors.
Like a base camp, which I think I kind of know what that is, but I'm like, wasn't really into that. So you're with Pinnacle doing that. And how many years have you been with them?
Almost 3 years.
Oh, wow. And then where did Resilient Guides come in, and how did it come in? Why did it come in?
Sure. So I had an existing company. It just wasn't fitting. And then last fall, like, it's not fitting. It's not resonating with me. It's not me. And our brand, our family brand, is Our Lazy G. And so I thought, why can't it be Our Lazy G somehow? So Resilient Guides just seemed like the right name. And it fits in.
Because that's like the brand you have on the belt buckle and in the logo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just the family brand.
And so you use the Pinnacle Guides as a tool in your toolbox, but what do you do that's different, and how do you utilize the whole program? So if somebody was going to come to you, what would they expect?
Lots of challenging questions for the greater good of greater good of the organization. I ask challenging questions to get to the root of the problem, of the issue, the obstacle, whatever that is. And I dig pretty deep. There's some emotions that come up typically, and that's good. That's vulnerability. That's what we want in a room. That's your trust, building of trust in your room.
And so tell us about so if someone's just listening and they're like, well, what are those questions like? Like, what are they asking that pull out those emotions or those deeper thoughts? Like, what are the questions
That's
around?
My secret sauce.
I know, but don't give us the questions, but just give us like a little bit of like what, because they're specific questions, because I answer, right? Like I answered them and they're really good, but it's like, those are very intentionally built questions, right? Because you're trying to evoke something to then get to X outcome. So talk to us a little bit, maybe just about that process.
Well, I want to find out what their dream is. I want to know what keeps them up at night, like what scares them the most. And then where do they see this organization? And we default to some financial pinnacle, but that's not it. And so it always comes back to more. And those mission-driven leaders that have something special to offer the world, that are going to make a difference in the world, that's where I dig for. That's where I try to find out before I engage with them. So
as you say, mission-driven leaders, which I really like that phrase, and I think that's like, oh, wow, that's like a wow statement. What is to you, what's a mission-driven leader? And because I assume there's things that you see in those types of people that they do like consistently, like they're not the same types of people, but there's some traits about them that are probably similar.
They're servant leaders, and they're very philanthropic, almost to a fault. Most of them, they're really successful. They're altruistic, and sometimes that's a weakness, but if you give too much, sometimes that's a weakness. It's one of mine for sure.
Very giving.
Who's your ideal client? So when you have people like coming in, so who is the ideal client for you? And then have you ever had to say to someone, no, I don't think we're going to be a good fit, and here's some other people you can try, or something like that?
It's a great question. And I recently have found that it's not a demographic, it's a psychographic.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have a demographic. Where I resonate with a lot of people is blue collar. I'm blue collar, and I'm proud of it. And I resonate with blue collar owners. So if that's a demographic, and yes, I turn people away. So I don't advertise. I give freely until I shouldn't, almost to a fault. That's an altruistic part of me.
Who like helps check you and be like, hey, no, you need to charge for this? Or do you kind of do that yourself?
Well, I have coaches too.
Okay.
So I don't prescribe coaching and not take it, that protocol. So I have coaches myself. And so they're always checking me, telling me, you need to charge more. They're always telling me that you need to charge more. You need to charge for that. And especially when it comes to nonprofits. I want to do work for nonprofits a lot of times for free. So I have turned people away, and more than I engage with. And it's typically because it's not a strong enough reason to pursue it. It's around money. I just want to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And they can't answer those questions of, what happens when you make that money? Then what? And just the continuous then what question. And if it's not there, it's not there. They also have to have, and as far as turning people away, I'll do one-on-one coaching if they're not the right fit, and maybe we can get there. But as far as like a full pinnacle engagement with the leadership team in a room, that's not always feasible for small businesses. So
yeah,
one-on-one coaching.
So so we talked a little bit earlier and you said you have it on your website, but where do those cowboy values come back in to the work that you're doing with Resilient Guides and Pinnacle, but where do those come in at and how do you use them?
I use them by talking about them frequently. So just like anybody with clarity as a leader, and just call it out. Like that's not exactly living by the Cowboy Code.
Do you find that a lot of people resonate with that? Like, I think there's parts of it, right? Like we were like, oh yeah, doesn't everyone do that? I don't know, but like, do all of those things, or do you find that a lot of people see some of those points that you have, like, oh my God, that's like, wow.
The ahas, right? The
yeah,
aha
that's the word I
moments.
was looking for.
I feel like it's more compelling than repelling, but there are people that are repelled by it, and they're not the right fit.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Do you know fairly quickly? And I'm only asking because I tell my clients all the time that not everybody's your customer, and you don't have to force a fit because at the end of the day, they could end up being more of a time suck and not actually, pay off. And so that's the reason why I'm kind of diving deeper into it.
Yes. I think I know fairly quickly, and especially when you get into the room with the leadership team and you start your time together in a session, you can see whether they have the ability to do it. It's typically I do an executive preview to where I'm auditioning them more than they're auditioning me. So I try not to let that happen. Most of the time, I filter them out really quickly.
So so let's say you filter and then you find one and you're like, we're going to be a good fit. We're going to move forward together. How long are you working with a team? I know it probably depends, like maybe on their size, but like typically how long are you working with them? And then are you doing more one-on-one work with the like executive or president, CEO role and the leadership team? So just talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. I do all of that. My full Pinnacle clients, I am in session with them 7 times a year, and they're all day sessions. And then throughout the year, I'm one-on-one coaching with all the leadership team. And then there might be some ad hoc sessions that we do if they need it. And it's fully customized. So wherever they're at, I meet them there. So if they have their core values already set, they love them, they're living by them, their team loves them, they all behave like them, we'll leave them alone. We'll work on the strategy. And if their mission is good, it scares them enough, and everybody's behind it, let's leave it alone. Let's not spend time on that. Not put you in a box and every company's the same and you have to go through the whole process. Every company's different. And so you need to meet them where they're at.
And what does that one-on-one coaching look like with the executive leadership team? Like, what does that look like for each of those individuals, right? Because I'm assuming it's a little bit different for each.
Yeah. It typically starts with the owner. They're typically inundated with tasks like I was. And so it's a delegation coaching session typically first. Like what brings you joy? Let's pull those out and let's pull out things that maybe somebody else can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do we delegate that? And there's tools around that to give them their time back. Get them. We ultimately want everybody in the organization to be working in their unique ability. And when we can find that, then you can get into that team flow. When the whole organization is working in their unique ability, then there's that flow that you get into when it's just good. Everything's working. Customers are happy. The employees are happy. Everybody's smiling when they come in. You got great reviews. You're making money. You're donating. You're involved in the community.
It's like a sweet spot that everyone wants to be in.
Yeah,
it's like being on a team. Like it reminds me of like what you're saying. Reminds me of like a sports team where it's like you're all jiving. You know your role. Like everyone's running, doing it, and you're finding success because you're like putting in the work each day as an individual to then like help the entire team.
Yeah, it's like a giant flywheel. I teach the flywheel concept, and it's that flywheel concept. Somebody is not doing their portion of the work, then it's pretty hard to get it started again.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm. What is the flywheel? Do you know? Are you familiar? Okay, so tell us what that is, because Kayla and I are like, what is the flywheel?
I'm sitting there, I was like, is this such a simple thing that I should know?
I know, I'm like, flywheel. Okay.
It's how you make all your decisions in your company, and you design your flywheel for every stage of your company. And if you can define what those are, and we can make all of our decisions based off of that and check all of our big decisions off of it, then it just starts to get in this, it gets momentum. So if we, define our ideal customer, and then we provide exceptional service, that's another stage in it, and do quality work, we get amazing reviews and people that refer us, and we continue to grow. And then the cycle just keeps going. If we can focus on those most important actions, then we can have that flow going through the company.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like one success that you've had that you could share?
Yeah. You've had somebody on your show that's one of my clients, actually.
Oh,
so
interesting.
That's probably the most rewarding part of my job, is when I see that insight come across somebody's face, and it's just quiet, and you just leave them there and they have this huge insight, and it's changing their life. And so, yes, an organization here in Billings, they were struggling. It was lack of clarity, lack of accountability, no real plan, working really hard, doing great, but just buried in the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
And not having good communication at home, and not having good communication with the leadership team, and getting into the flow. And it takes about 6 months to a year before you really start engaging in it fully. If you're fully committed, they are, by the way. And just to see them having the best year of their life, and being able to do what they want to do personally. And it's really amazing. And they're, being very philanthropic. So,
I love
giving
that.
back to the community, like kind of like what you talked about, like giving, even though they're getting more, it's like, but then they're returning that back to the community that they serve.
Yeah.
Which is really special.
Making a huge impact. It's really neat to watch.
That is really cool. So what are some things about leaders that you do notice, like after they are working with you? And you said that 6-month mark, like what are some of those things that you're seeing and you're like, okay, we're seeing progress moving forward?
Yeah. Their mindset just changes. So we stop talking about small things.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about bigger things. It's typically around some form of love that they have for something. How do they get more of that? They stop talking about, once it starts getting in that flow, we talk about, life-changing things.
Personally and professionally, or a
Yeah.
little bit? Yeah, both.
Absolutely.
Wow.
How much do you think of the personal, like being lost personally, affects a person running a business?
I don't know if I could quantify that. I do feel that you're just kind of guessing at where you're going. And if you don't know who you are, then I'm not sure you know where you want to go. And if everybody in the room covers their eyes and we all throw a dart at the wall, we're getting darts going in all different directions. So if you don't know who you are and can define and express that to everybody on your team where you're going clearly, then it's typically a disaster.
Yeah.
And are there things that you've taken from running your other company to now, that because you have that experience, right? Like, so you're coaching these businesses, you're coaching business leaders, you have that experience too, right? So Are there things that you look back on often and you're like, okay, I had that, like that'll be helpful insight for this situation that I'm now coaching on?
Yes, it happens all the time. And the beauty of, probably the most powerful thing for Pinnacle Business Guides is, I think most of them are former business owners that have been successful. You have to be a successful business owner to be a Pinnacle Business Guide. And you just pull from all different scenarios from all those people. So if I don't know, I know at least 3 people.
You've
that
got a
do.
network. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, I pull in a lot of my experiences, and I learn from my clients all the time. Like, they're doing something amazing. Oh, my other client needs that too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I share that? Oh no, go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's so insightful. Like, we have a lot of people on that, like you listen, like business owners and lessons learned, which I think that I assume that hearing that from, like, as another business owner, getting insight from someone that's been there, done that, is like, yeah, they get it. Or like, yeah, they did it. Like, I can listen to what they're going to say because they're like legit, like they did do it. And now they're
right.
like doing something else and following that passion, which is something you talked a little bit about, but knowing like when it's time to transition, right? And maybe it's not at all. Maybe it's like that's in it forever. But like, what's some insight that you have for those that are like, maybe, how do you know? Like, what are those other things when you know that it's like, maybe it is time to sell?
Well,
And do something else?
transitions, I believe that every organization has a transition coming, regardless. The keys are going to pass on to somebody at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not 100% of the statistic, but it's like every small business within 10 years has some transition coming. And so 80% of those don't ever sell. And I think it's 80% of that actually gets sold. And to have a system in place, that's why my business was so attractive, is because it had a system in place. And if you have that and you have, good financials and all the systems in place, it's pretty easy for somebody to step in, and they'll pay a lot more for that. So what I find with clients that come to me, some of them want to work really hard for a couple of years and sell it. They just want to work a couple of years. But what happens is they fall back in love with their organization and their people again. And that happens a lot because it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes easier for them. And now it's exactly what they thought it was going to be. This is what business should look like, and this is fun. And, from my experience selling my company, I don't think most entrepreneurs know that you're probably going to regret selling your company, because it was your identity. You have a lot of power. You have the ability to create pretty much what you want to if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
And it's a great vehicle to have, historical family history changed, and have a legacy for people. So when is it time to sell? I mean, that's everybody's own choice. They need to define it. If if they have a at the end of the rainbow, whatever that is, let's find out what that is and make a plan for it. Their keys are passing to the kids, to somebody with a big bag of money, or to the employees.
It's going somewhere.
Typically.
But I think that's interesting insight of like, as you're kind of making some of these adjustments, that they maybe fall back in love with what they started out with, because they did probably out of the gate create something pretty special, and then you just get bogged down in the day-to-day other
I think if
things.
they just get the processes in place in the beginning, which is what we're trying to coach on.
That's hard
To
when you're
run
trying
out of
to
the
make
gate.
money and to step back
Yep.
and to have your team step back and make a proven process, a playbook that people can follow. It's hard to do.
Are there other things about Resilient Guides that we just haven't touched on yet, but like things that you offer and things that you do that people should know about?
I'm a believer in Patrick Lencioni's, the table group's Working Genius. And so I'm a certified facilitator for that. And that's there's a lot of assessments out there. I think it's the easiest one to engage in. I know you and I talked about the Gallup, and there is some similarities. I think that Working Genius is the easiest one to get traction really quickly with not a lot of outside help. And when you have your team map and you can make decisions around that on your working competencies and what drives you, I think it's really impactful. So I do that. I do a 2-hour workshop and a 4-hour workshop with organizations.
On that assessment?
Tell
us a little bit more about it for those that maybe don't know, because I think there's a lot, right? Like we talked about Gallup, which we've all taken at Big Sky, but there's like Myers-Briggs, the DISC, this one.
There's the Enneagram.
There's
so
like...
many.
You can learn a lot about yourself through
Oh my
a
gosh,
test.
yes, you can. It's almost
It's like
ridiculous.
weird. They all have the same themes though. I feel like there's certain...
Yeah. I think Working Genius is really good to define how we work together and how we bring people into the room, the right people into the room for what is their working genius. Like, if we're going to come up with some innovative thing, I don't want to bring a lot of tactical conversation into it at 5,000 feet. I want to stay at 30,000 feet. And I want, I want feedback from those that have that working genius, or at least can stay there for a while and have some energy there. Not
your people that are like, I need... Yeah. I'm like thinking of our team right now, actually, because I know there's Gallup themes. Like I could tell you everyone's Gallup. So, but it's like, that would be interesting too for everyone to take that. And how do you, maybe not based on role, but based on like the working genius of when you're doing something, like pulling up people.
Who needs to be invited into that room? Yeah.
Based on
That's
that
interesting.
assessment.
And there's ideation, there's that creation, the implementation, and then activation. They're different. And so you want to pull off those geniuses for what you're trying to get done.
We took that one. I took that once, and now I'm like trying to remember what it was.
I had not even heard of it till today, so I'm learning stuff new.
Yeah.
I think I have my packet somewhere saved.
You've talked a little bit about resilient leadership. What does that mean to you?
I think it's constant learning. And being a vulnerable person, being a servant, vulnerable person, that's really hard for people to do. They struggle with just being open and honest. And I think a resilient leader doesn't go around obstacles, they go through them. And they take that initiative and grind through it.
I love you talking about the vulnerability in being honest. And because I think without a leader doing that, you can't have the trust, which then you can't do the rest of the 5 steps, right? And so that was, I think that's just so important for every leader to be able to be vulnerable, say, hey, this isn't exactly how I thought it was going to happen. And, but let's talk through it and kind of work on it together.
Yes, I think I use Brene Brown a lot.
Oh, I love her.
I do too. And I think that anatomy of trust is something that we all need to do. And it's on my refrigerator. And I make postcards for all of my clients to put them on their refrigerators. And just to have that, understand what that looks like, to have that vulnerability and to be able to accept other people when they are opening themselves up. I think that's a resilient leader. I think they are very vulnerable. They're humble, which you guys have a humble leader here.
We do.
I appreciate that. Most of the people you have on your show are pretty humble.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's really hard. It's just
yeah.
like how you're like, I don't like talking about myself. That is every person that sits in these chairs is like, this is so weird for me to talk about the things, right? And so I'm like, but
there's so much knowledge to be gained from it for other people.
Absolutely. You know? And their trials that they've had to overcome is so huge. And you were mentioning it earlier. We firmly believe that peer-to-peer learning is so much stronger of a tool than if like an expert comes in and talks down to someone. And so we try to utilize, business owners in the community all the time to get people to understand, and they feel more comfortable. That's that vulnerability, asking questions of the people. So
totally.
But yeah, it's common theme of these people not wanting to, take credit for the amazing things that they're doing in their community. So
yeah. I like what you said about the peer group, because I think that is something that every leader should do. Have a group of individuals that they can trust, that they can sit down with other business owners and have that. There's Vistage. I'm sure there's other groups around.
Just to talk through things, right? Because I'm sure everyone's going through maybe something similar-esque where they went through something, but to have a sounding board that's a third party removed to say have you thought of this, or have you done that? I just think that it can be valuable for whatever it is that you're working on.
Absolutely.
Within
have an advisory board. It is like having an advisory board.
It's like you go to certain people for different sites in your network, right? Like a network map or something.
And you don't feel lonely, because being an entrepreneur can feel very lonely. So if you just have a group of people that you can all just talk to, it's so beneficial.
You're not alone, but you're lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You're still kind of lonely, but at least you can talk to somebody about it.
Yeah. I get that. And I get that a lot. Like, I'm so alone. I'm like, that's what I'm for.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
There you go.
It's been so great to have you on and to chat with you, hear more about your story, what you do. But we like to end each episode with a few rapidish fire questions. So my first one for you, which I'm really interested to hear based on the Cowboy Code, your values, work ethic, all of that, is what's your go-to daily ritual or habit for health?
Well, it changed after my accident, right? But I'm very intentional, and I believe in being selfish to be selfless. And I call it my miracle morning. There's a book about it, Miracle Morning.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a ritual every day. And I get up and brush my teeth, wash my face, drink lemon water with cayenne.
Ooh. We haven't heard that one yet.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I pray. I journal and pray at the same time. I do a Dan Sullivan, who I'm a big fan of. He has a Gap in the Gain book, and in that book there's a Gap in the Gain journal, and so I journal every day. What I'm doing, what I did yesterday, count the gains. Try to stay in that gain mindset and out of the gap mindset. And then I do yoga. I work out, do yoga. And sometimes I sauna or get in the hot tub.
I like that. I do like an infrared sauna. But I also like the journal. I think that it's I'm not good at it, but to be reflective, right? And just check in with yourself, give yourself that time every day. Just ground yourself before the day starts.
Yeah, and it's easy. I do it at night too before I go to bed. So I write down, if anybody's out there listening, try this at home. Try writing down just three things that you want to get done tomorrow. And then do that about a half hour before bed, and then go to bed. You won't wake up thinking about what you should be doing, you're wondering what, all those things run through your head. You'll sleep better. And then you just try to get through it.
Start that tonight.
I'm going to try that tonight. I'm going to be like, because then I'm like, so I'm not thinking about it as I'm like trying to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be trying that tonight and we'll report back to you.
Yes. My question is, what's one Cowboy Code value that's hardest to live out but worth striving for?
Know where to draw the line.
Gotta know when to hold them.
Yeah.
We're doing karaoke later. Down at the Crystal. Just kidding.
My gosh. That's the hardest one. Know where to draw the line. Know when to say that. I was just having this conversation with a small business this morning in town, and they stopped doing a service that really disappointed a lot of people, but they're now focused on what they do really well. And that's one of the things that I go through with teams is, what do we need to start saying no to?
Yeah, it's so important.
It is. And it's hard, to say no.
It is hard.
We have to coach all the time on saying no, because when you're a new business, people come to you all the time for donations and stuff, and they feel like they have to give and give and give. And at some point you have to say no. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with not everyone's going to be your client. So it's okay to say no to somebody,
Can I give a hack about that?
Yes.
So I had that all the time. And my CFO came and said, you got to stop spending money like that. You can't be donating all that money. You don't need to keep doing that. And so what my wife and I decided to do was to start a foundation, and then you have to apply for grants. Mm-hmm. And so then it was housed through, this was the Wyoming Community Foundation. And so you'd pay them to manage the fund and tell them what you were wanting to donate to. So you said yes to everyone. You just have to apply for it. You have to have some skin in the game. So it's a hand up, not a handout. So if you apply, I absolutely will want to sponsor you.
I like that, because I think it is like just a little more effort, but if it's worth the cause, then.
Yeah, and then it's a kid coming in 4-H, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to buy another steer this year. Like, that's 4.
Gosh, okay, there we go.
Come back with a bison, okay?
Yeah, right.
Something else. What's one trait every good leader needs today?
Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable with your team. Be vulnerable and almost to ridiculousness. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most important thing. I think Lee Iacocca said the team is only as fast as a leader. And I feel like you have to be an A player. If you want A players, you have to be an A player. And you can't allow B players to be tolerated. You can't tolerate it, because A players will leave. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you're not, I think it's John Maxwell, the law of the lid, and to just recognize that you might be the lid. You might be holding your company back. So
I think that's really good insight to have.
Yeah.
Awesome. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all of these tips and tricks and, what you're doing on a daily basis and how you're helping these businesses in our communities. I appreciate it.
And if people want to connect with you, email, social, where can they find you?
You can go on my website, resilientguides.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm open to conversations. So I'm a referral-based business. So I typically don't solicit people. I have people refer me, and they know exactly who that psychographic is. And we just have a conversation. I like to go somewhere that's away from work, and it's just 2 hours. It's not transactional. I very seldom will engage with someone on, so to speak, the first date. Mm-hmm. I want people to sleep on it. What sales program says go sleep on it?
Mm-hmm. They're like,
we'll do dinner later.
We don't want you to leave yet.
Yeah, I want them to go sleep and pray on it.
Yeah,
it's a big decision.
Yeah,
when you commit to.
Well, thanks, Ryan.
Transformational. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks
so
for
much.
joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been an honor.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault _201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.